Next up, we have from LSU, from the nanofabrication facility. I think Sergei is going to be talking about how they're using it. And like I was saying at the beginning, they're using it as is. So this, I think, is a great example of also how we've seen how much can be modified, how much you can change in NEMO, how you can tailor it to exactly what you want it to do in your lab. Now, I guess we'll see also how you can just use it as, just out of the box, and how much of that you can use in your lab.
Hi, yeah, thank you. Exactly, like we just have seen how UPenn especially had personalized so much their system. For us, it's mainly we installed it in a CentOS server, I think.
It's on a CentOS server, yeah.
So
our main modifications aren't to NEMO, but are to the way we implemented the interlocks.
Right. So first, a little bit about where we are. We are here. We are in Louisiana, in Baton Rouge. So this is a picture of the whole facility. This is Camdi. This is a synchrotron. And then this was built in the 90s or so, right?
Early 90s.
And then they built also a clean room attached to it. And this is where we are at. It's smaller clean room compared to other ones, but we have
about 2,500 square feet.
And then we have several equipment that it's detailed in some of the next slides. So this is the staff. These are where it's basically the three of us. So it's not as big as other facilities, but we are relying on all the reservation system is done through NEMO. This is basically what we're using.
Yeah, about, I don't know, 3 years ago and beyond, we had a very old DOS system that when I took over the clean room in 2015, I kind of knew it was going to die. And then when I heard about NEMO going live, we very quickly installed it. And it was fortuitous because just like a month later, the DOS system the hard drive totally failed. So we were able to switch over without too many hiccups.
So then there's a little bit of the equipment that we have. We have basically two areas in the clean room. One is mostly for metrology equipment, and the other one it's mostly for nanofab itself.
Yeah, and we kind of have a mixture of some, like in the picture here, obviously this is not state of the art. This is a 1990s Hitachi S4500 SCM, still works quite well. But then we also have some very new tools like the Willem RC2 ellipsometer. So back in 2017, we were able to get a state grant for around $1 million. And we've been slowly purchasing equipment over about a 5-year period to update certain key areas of use in the clean room.
Yeah, so this is a little bit more of the equipment we have. Again, this is some of them very standard sort of equipment, but again, also we have this, for example, the ozone cleaner, it's also like new thing. And we are now also updating and getting more equipment for patterning and film growing. We have an old reactive ion etcher that it's gonna be updated too. And we have this very new laser writer, which
yeah, we've been really happy with the Durham magneto-optic, the ML3 Pro. We looked at a lot of different options, but we like that
one. So then, as Kevin was saying, we also have like a bunch of new systems coming. So these are some of the newest that I think are gonna be very well used in the clean room too.
Yeah, we're excited about this MRI that we got last 2020 in the summer of 2020. That was a nice email from NSF. So it's an NSOM, and then we built a plasma enhanced ALD tool. That took a while. That's been a 2-year project, but it's almost done. And then we're actually we acquired a CMS 18 dual chamber sputtering tool used. It's like a 2005 vintage tool, but it's all been redone, and Lesker is on site today installing updates that run on Windows 10, and so we're excited about that. And then we have this new RTA that's in the facility but not hooked up yet. So, and eventually, NEMO is connected to most of these tools right now with interlocks, but some of the less sort of high-end tools we don't put interlocks on, and you can reserve them on NEMO, or you don't have to. You can just use them at will.
Yeah. So this is a little bit of how I don't how NEMO is installed in our system. We have the standard installation. Right now we are running up to date, so I think it's 3.10, unless we missed more current version. We have added NEMO and Nginx as systemd services. That's been very nice, actually, because whenever our server goes down and restarts or anything happens, NEMO now just restarts automatically.
Yeah, that is very nice.
Here I said it's 2018, but I think it's before that. I think the first installation.
I can't remember. I do recall that it happened when I was on vacation, as all of these things happen. And the old system failed, and I had NEMO installed already, and then I switched over quickly. But it was in January. I think it might have been January 2018.
So right now, how we are using NEMO, we use it mostly to manage all the reservations by users. What we do is we train the user on the tools that they ask us to train them. They do that right now, not from NEMO. They ask me or Shaloma to get trained, and then we give them access to the specific tool, which then allows them to make the reservations. That way, right now, we are also implementing all the interlocks in most of the tools. As Kevin was saying, as of right now, only the most critical tools are interlocked, but this is getting expanded, and more tools are getting interlocked. So we will be able to track the usage of every tool. We work differently than our clean rooms in the sense that we don't charge by time on a tool. So it's not been critical until now to do this.
We operate on a subscription basis, so people we're very inexpensive. So we're $400 per semester, and if you pay that, then you get to use, it's like a gym, or $150 a month. And we primarily did this because at the beginning, and still, like Sergey is saying, we don't have enough control over all the tools to manage them on an a la carte basis. But then also, because we have this hybrid mixture of old and new, we want to encourage users to, explore tools and become expert at tools versus, trying to really micromanage their time on it. That might change in the future. We'll see. But so far, our users like it, and it's been okay for us financially because we have a very small staff.
Yeah. So one of the things that we are also doing with NEMO, we are also now starting to use the maintenance features, and as we install these new deposition tools, we also are implementing these post-usage questions to be able to track the materials that users are depositing. This is how our landing page looks like. It's very basic, but a little bit personalized with LSU logos. Users typically only see the first three. Eventually, the fourth one will also be able to be seen by users. And then we have the maintenance and the data administration for us, basically. This is an example of how the calendar looks like. These are, you can see all the tools. And as I was saying, some of them are interlocked. For example, the SEM is interlocked and basically the most expensive ones. So this is how the interlock system works. I think it's one of the most personalized features we've implemented. We use the interlocks only to provide power to monitors or non-critical parts. So because we have experienced that sometimes one user just transfers the tool to the next user so then we don't want it to log out while, for example, the AFM it's making a scan and then crashes everything. So now they are able to do that, and then it's just the monitor that turns off and then turns on. Then these interlocks are controlled by a special card that you see here on the right image. This is a shield relay card that goes on top of an Arduino that you can see in the left card. So yeah, so basically what happens is NEMO sends a signal whenever a tool user logs into that tool. It sends a signal to the Raspberry Pi, and then the Raspberry Pi communicates to the Arduino, and then the Arduino will open the relay corresponding to that tool.
Just to add, like, so our NEMO server is at LSU. Our Raspberry Pi is here at CAMD, which is about 15 minutes away. So when a user logs in, they're talking to the NEMO server back on campus, and then the NEMO server sends a message to the Pi that's in the clean room. And that the software on the Pi was developed actually by an undergraduate about a year ago. She was in a computer science program, and I thought this would be a nice thing for an undergraduate to develop. And it was very fortunate. She was very talented and wrote it. A very nice piece of Python code she developed.
So basically, this Python code that Kevin is mentioning runs with Raspberry Pi at the startup. And then, yeah, so even if the power goes down and then goes up, that will automatically fire up. Yeah, and then that's basically it. And then these are the future implementations that we want to do. One of the main ones is use NEMO to synchronize with our doors. So right now we use
it's an Allied database.
Yeah.
Well, it's Honeywell, managed through Allied.
So it's a special it's a special card reader that we don't have easy access to. So that's one of the challenges right now.
Yeah.
And once we are able to do that, then we will be able to use the area feature to be able to see who's inside.
Yeah, when we walk in the doors of our clean room, right now we have the Jumbotron running through a big TV screen at the window of the doors. But the Jumbotron, of course, in NEMO only tells who's using the tool, but it doesn't tell you, at least we don't know how to do it, to make it so that if you just come into the clean room and you're not logged into a tool, let's say you're just using something that's not interlocked, which is the current situation, we don't know you're in the clean room. But if we could make it so that when you activate the card reader, that would say that you open the door, then we could display that information. I guess another way around that is you interlock everything. If you interlock everything, then you solve that problem too.
Yeah, so basically I think that's one of the most important things we want to do. And at the same time, we are also using more of the maintenance capabilities. For example, since we have installed this new evaporator, so that's this maintenance, it's very useful to be able to track the materials that users deposit, and then also do more periodic maintenance, such as SEM.
Yeah, that was one thing that we currently, like our SEM is old and it's a cold field emitter, so it's very sensitive to pressure, and so every 6 months we really need to bake it out. So one of the things we'd like to be able to do is set up these long-term recurring maintenance tasks in NEMO, and just to remind us, we do that in a third-party software now, but if it was was in NEMO, it'd be easier.
Yeah, and I think that's it. If anyone has questions,
we'd also like to take the time to thank Madhu and so many others who've lent us help and advice on the mailing list. It's been essential to keep us running such a small staff, a limited budget. That we really appreciate that.
Thank you. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I actually have a question. It was very interesting to see your Interact implementation with that your Raspberry Pi. That's I think that's pretty cool. How much does that? I mean, if you don't mind, how much does that end up costing compared to one of the out of the box like Interact relays that are out there?
Well, the Pi is like $40, and then I have it sitting right here. So this is the card, right? I was looking for a price tag.
I think that's like $10.
I think this is like $10, and then the Uno, I think is like I don't know, $20. So I mean, you're sub $100, and this guy here, this Reconic thing,
8 relays.
8 relays.
And you can actually stack up those. This one, you're gonna stack up to 3, I think. So you can control, what is that, 20 something just with one Raspberry Pi and one Arduino.
Wow, that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cheap way of doing Interact compared to some of the other options out there.
Right.
Yeah. I have just another question. How much of, so you came in with a different approach where you installed NEMO and then you started using it and you kind of adapting your way to the NEMO way in a way. That's a lot of ways. But how much of your processes did you have to like change, or were you just flexible enough from the get-go that it was pretty much a breeze to transition and start using NEMO compared to your older system?
Oh, I mean, the older system was horrible. So I mean, it was really, really old, Madhu. I mean, it was really old. So it was just completely not usable, not web-based. People had to go into the clean room to reserve time. They couldn't reserve time remotely. So it was super archaic. So we absolutely morphed into, NEMO morphed us. We didn't morph NEMO, put it
Right.
that way. And I mean, we've had zero complaints. Very happy with it. I mean, my prior experience, I worked at the IBM clean room at the ETH in Zurich, and they used FOM.
Oh, FOM.
FOM, I think, is what they used. And so I'm familiar with that, but transitioning to NEMO was absolutely painless for us.
That's awesome. It's good to hear that you were able to have NEMO more for your stuff, and again, it's free, and then you had added your Interacts for pretty cheap, so like you were able to use this for not much of an investment really, and sounds like it really improved your experience and the way you guys are your people are reserving and doing stuff in your facility.
Yeah, and as I was saying, I think there are features in NEMO that we're not even using that I think we want to use more, because I think they will be very useful for us.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very much. That was very interesting. Thanks for sharing your experience there.